Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to the Coachman. I'm your host, Omar John Ori II. And for today, we are going to be stepping a little bit forward into the 19th century, but we're going to be taking ourselves a little bit farther east. And this story is set in Russia. And around this time in Russia, basically, everybody knows the stereotype about Russia. And although honestly I studied Russian, and honestly the Russian language, Russian people, beautiful people. A lot of the stereotypes are kind of, I don't know, they're kind of bullshit. But with this, and during this time, basically like Russia, it was where justice, it moved slow, punishment moved fast, and forgiveness was kind of considered like the highest form of like strength. You know what I mean? Like it was hard to forgive. You know what I mean? But overall, this story kind of it lulls, and it hangs on, the idea about fate, false judgment, suffering, and like I said, forgiveness. That's like kind of like unthinkable. You know what I mean? So this story is from Leo Tolstoy, and it's called "God Sees the Truth, but Waits." So let's get started. In the town of Vladimir lived a young merchant named Ivan Dmitry Aksionov. He had two shops and a house of his own. Aksionov was a handsome, fair-haired, curly-headed fellow, full of fun and very fond of singing. When quite a young man, he had been given to drink and was riotous when he had had too much. But after he married, he gave up drinking, except now and then. Honestly, that kind of sounds like most people. They go buck wild and then they get married and then they, learn to chill out. So one summer, Aksionov was going to the Nizhny Fair, and as he bade goodbye to his family, his wife said to him, "Ivan Dmitri, do not start today. I have had a bad dream about you." I guess she, you know what I mean? See, that's the thing. When you say that, you're almost putting that judge on somebody. So you just got to leave it alone. Sometimes you just got to leave well enough alone and be like, hey, have a good one. Stay out of trouble. That's all you got to say. Aksionov laughed and said, "You are afraid that when I get to the fair, I shall go on a spree." See, and when somebody says that, guess what? They're going to do it. His wife replied, "I do not know what I am afraid of. All I know is that I had a bad dream. I had dreamt you returned from the town, and when you took off your cap, I saw that your hair was quite gray." Aksionov laughed. "That's a lucky sign," said he. "See, if I don't sell out all my goods and bring you some presents from the fair." I don't know about that. Well, I guess maybe we'll see. So he said goodbye to his family and drove away. When he had traveled halfway, he met a merchant whom he knew, and they put up at the same inn for the night. They had some tea together and then went to bed in adjoining rooms. It was not Aksionov's habit to sleep late, and wishing to travel while it was still cool, he aroused his driver before dawn and told him to put in the horses. Then he made his way across the landlord of the inn, who lived in a cottage at the back, paid his bill, and continued his journey. When he had gone about 25 miles, he stopped for the horses to be fed. Aksionov rested a while in the passage of the inn. Then he stepped out into the porch, and ordering a samovar to be heated, got out his guitar and began to play. I'm gonna take a guess that ordering a samovar to be heated. I almost want to say that's like a blanket. For some reason, I don't know why. I just have this feeling, but yeah, we'll have to get back to that because I'm almost sure that like a samovar is something. When it says heated, it has to be like a blanket or something. Okay, so I just had to take a quick break, and I found out a samovar it's like a small heater. Um, but it's weird. Let me. Oh, you know what? Think of this, right? Imagine a trophy, okay? Like a big trophy about the size of like maybe like a basketball, yeah, with handles or whatever. But instead of like, imagine that there's like a spout, almost. You know what? A spout, almost like you when you pour coffee, and then on the top of it. So I think what this is, it's I almost want to say that this thing is like a coffee machine. Yeah. Oh yeah. So it's basically it's like what do you call it? It's it's a basically a water heater. So but except like this thing, I guess you got to do it another way. But yeah, I knew it was something, but I thought it was a blanket. I was wrong. So we proceed. But so suddenly a troika drove up with tinkling bells and an official alighted, followed by two soldiers. He came to Aksionov and began to question him, asking him who he was and whence he came. Aksionov answered him fully and said, "Won't you have some tea with me?" But the official went on cross questioning him and asking him, "Where did you spend last night? Were you alone? Or with a fellow merchant? Did you see the other merchant this morning? Why did you leave him in why did you leave the inn before dawn?" I'm not gonna lie. This sounds like it is not gonna end well at all. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm telling you, I've had cops come up to me like that, and it is not fun. You know what I mean? Like they just come barking like answers, and you're like, "Yo, I'm trying." Before you even try to answer one question, they already got like three. Like before you try to answer something, they already got like three more questions. And and yes, a troika is basically a going back, a troika is a team of horses. But it's a team of three horses. So instead of like, having like four horses, like two and two, these are like three that are pretty much like I want to say they're like three across. Because it looks like, yeah, like three, yeah, basically like horses, like three across. So just a troika. Aksionov wondered why he was asked all these questions, but he described all that had happened, and then added, "Why do you cross question me as if I were a thief or a robber? I am traveling on business of my own, and there is no need to question me." Then the official, calling the soldiers, said, "I am the police officer of this district, and I question you because the merchant with whom you spent last night has been found with his throat cut. We must search your things." They entered the house. The soldiers and police officers unstrapped Aksionov's luggage and searched it. Suddenly, the officer drew a knife out of a bag, crying, "Whose knife is this?" Aksionov looked, and seeing a blood-stained knife taken from his bag, he was frightened. "How is it there is blood on this knife?" Damn. Honestly, from then on, if I were him, I would have just kept my mouth shut. Whatever. I get it. It's early 1900s in Russia. At that moment, when you hear that, you're pretty much hung anyway. So you might as well just say, "You know what? I'll go out. You know what? I'll just start being belligerent. Tell him to kick rocks." Aksionov tried to answer, but could hardly utter a word, and only stammered, I don't know. Not mine." Then the police officer said, "This morning the merchant was found in bed with his throat cut. You are the only person who could have done it. The house was locked from inside, and no one else was there. Here is this blood-stained knife in your bag, and your face and manner betray you. Tell me how you killed him and how much money you stole." Aksionov swore he had not done it, that he had not seen the merchant after they had tea together, and that he had no money except 8,000 rubles of his own, and that the knife was not his. But his voice was broken, his face pale, and he trembled with fear as though he went guilty. Yeah, you did go guilty, bruh. I bet you his nuts dropped, his voice sank with it, And honestly, his heart probably like is sitting in his asshole because he like I telling you, I'd be terrified. The police officer ordered the soldiers to bind Aksionov and to put him in the cart. As they tied his feet together and flung him into the cart, Aksionov crossed himself and wept. His money and goods were taken from him, and he was sent to the nearest town and imprisoned there. Inquiries as to his character were made in Vladimir. The merchants and other inhabitants of that town said that in former days he used to drink and waste his time, but that he was a good man. Then the trial came on. He was charged with murdering a merchant from Ryazan and robbing him of 20,000 rubles. Damn, you talk about rough. I mean, I get it. The man, he kicked back a few. He liked his sauce. But I mean, he had his wife and everything, but still, notice how like they had to put all the bad stuff first. And then that one little blip, oh, but he was a good man. Telling you. Even then, bullshit, yeah? His wife was in despair and did not know what to believe. Her children were all quite small. One was a baby at her breast. Taking them all with her, she went to the town where her husband was in jail. At first, she was not allowed to see him, but after much begging, she obtained permission from the officials and was taken to him. When she saw her husband in prison dress and in chains, shut up with thieves and criminals, she fell down and did not come to her senses for a long time. Then she drew her children to her and sat down near him. She told him of things at home and asked about what had happened to him. He told her all, and she asked, "What can we do now?" "We must petition the Tsar not to let an innocent man perish." His wife told him that she had sent a petition to the Tsar, but it had not been accepted. If you want to know, like a Tsar is kind of like a president, but it's weird though, because the Tsar, if I'm correct, it's kind of it's like a Russian president, but it's not a Russian president because yeah. So basically, okay. So at some point, right, a Tsar was like an emperor, but then it became like a government position. And I'm not 100% sure when when the switch was. Oh no, here it is. So prior to 1970, it wasn't like the Tsar was an emperor of Russia, and then after 1917, that's when it became a like kind of like an official. But it's weird though. It's almost like I want to say equivalent from what the way my head interprets it kind of like a governor or like a state representative, something like that. That's kind of where it's at now, in my opinion. But I don't know. But anybody who's from Russia or understands Russian culture, let me know, yeah? Sort this out real quick. Uh, so, Aksionov did not reply, but only looked downcast. Then his wife said, it was not for nothing. I dreamt your hair had turned gray. You remember? You should not have started that day. And passing her fingers through his hair, she said, Vanya, dearest, tell your wife the truth. Was it not you who did it? So you too suspect me? Said Aksionov. And hiding his face in his hands, he began to weep. Then a soldier came to say that the wife and children must go away. And Aksionov said goodbye to his family for the last time. Yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. No bullshit, like straight up. Any woman listening to this, yeah? What you just heard, honestly, I this is me. I shit you not. If my missus, yeah, looked at me, okay, and I knew I was innocent, and she said, "Did you do this?" Like, but literally believing that I did it, I would be crushed. You might as well, yo, for real, yo, honestly, get me a rope. I'm hanging myself. That is the worst feeling in the world. There is, honestly, going to prison, whatever, like having somebody there that's like, no, I know you didn't do it. It would make that situation for me 10 times better. I'm telling you, yo, I'm surprised this dude didn't just like try to smash his head into the wall or something. Cause yeah, I'd be done. I'd be like, all right, I'm done. I lost my whole family. I'm done. But hey, it happens. So when they were gone, Aksionov recalled what had been said, and when he remembered that his wife also had suspected him, he said to himself, "It seems that only God can know the truth. It is to him alone we must appeal, and from him alone expect mercy." And Aksionov wrote no more petitions, gave up all hope, and only prayed to God. My man's got some strong faith. I mean, he's got some strong faith. Cause I'm telling everybody to fuck off. I don't like. I lose my I don't care. That's my missus, my kids. I'm telling everybody leave me alone. I'm going absolute buck wild. Anybody that comes near me in that jail, you're getting. I'm gonna give you a 2-piece, quick. I'm not playing. Like the guards, every time they come in there, I'm getting butt naked and we're going at it. I'm just like, yo, who cares? What do you have to lose? I lost everything. Now it's time, yo. Hey, as they say, misery loves company, and my company is gonna be everybody. So, uh, and Aksionov was condemned to be flogged and sent to the mines. So he was flogged with a knot, and when the wounds made by the knots were healed, he was driven to Siberia with other convicts. That sound, yo, flogged with a knot. Like, I don't know if anybody knows, but being flogged is kind of like being whipped, but you're whipped with like thicker like ropes and whatever. And they're not. And trust me, everybody might say, "Oh no, I can." No, man, no. Like, you ain't. Yeah, it's like you're basically beat, but like being flogged is like, what is it? It's yeah. I'm sorry, I wouldn't want it. Nah, hang me, kill me, like none of this. And then being sent to Siberia, nah, we ain't doing that. Look at this. For 26 years, Aksionov lived as a convict in Siberia. His hair turned white as snow, and his beard grew long, thin, and gray. All his mirth went. He stooped, he walked slowly, spoke little, and never laughed, but he often prayed. I'm telling you this, everybody around me better pray. They better pray I don't do anything, because I'm going off every time I see you. In prison, Aksionov learned to make boots and earned a little money, with which he bought the lives of the saints. He read this book when there was light enough in the prison, and on Sundays in the prison church, he read the lessons and sang in the choir. For his voice was still good. Well, good for him. At least he had a little bit, something going on. He had some pipes, so that's cool. The prison authorities liked Aksionov for his meekness, and his fellow prisoners respected him. They called him grandfather and the saint. When they wanted to petition the prison authorities about anything, they always made Aksionov their spokesman. And when there were quarrels among the prisoners, they came to him to put things right and to judge the matter. No news reached Aksionov from his home, and he did not even know if his wife and children were still alive. That sucks. One day, a fresh gang of convicts came to the prison. In the evening, the old prisoners collected round the new ones and asked them of towns or villages they came from, and what they were sentenced for. Among the rest, Aksionov sat down near the newcomers and listened with downcast air to what was said. One of the new convicts, a tall, strong man of 60, with a closely cropped gray beard, was telling the others what he had been arrested for. Typo. Well, friends, he said, I only took a horse that was tied to a sledge, and I was arrested and accused of stealing. I said I had only taken it to get home quicker, and had then let it go. Besides, the driver was a personal friend of mine, so I said, it's all right. No, said they, you stole it. But how or where I stole it, they could not say. I only really did something wrong. Oh, I once really did something wrong, and ought by rights to have come here long ago. But that time I was not found out. Now I have been sent here for nothing at all. Eh, but it's lies, I'm telling you. I've been to Siberia before, but I did not stay long. Where are you from? Asked someone. From Vladimir. My family are of that town. My name is Makar, and they also call me Semonik. Aksionov raised his head and said, Tell me, Semyonik, do you know anything of the merchants Aksionov of Vladimir? Are they still alive? Know of them? Of course I do. The Aksionovs are rich, though their father is in Siberia, a sinner like ourselves, it seems. As for you, Grandad, how did you come here? Aksionov did not like to speak of his misfortune. He only sighed and said, For my sins I have been in prison these 26 years. What sins? Asked Makar Semyonov. But Aksionov only said, well, I must have deserved it. He would have said no more, but his companions told the newcomers how Aksionov came to be in Siberia, how someone had killed a merchant and had put the knife among Aksionov's things, and Aksionov had been unjustly condemned. When Makar Semyonov heard this, he looked at Aksionov, slapped his own knee, and explained, Well, this is wonderful, really wonderful. But how old you've grown, Grandad? The others asked him why he was so surprised, and where he had seen Aksionov before. But Makar Semyonov did not reply. He only said, It's wonderful that we should meet here, lads. These words made Aksionov wonder whether this man knew who had killed the merchant. So he said, Perhaps, Semyonov, you have heard of that affair? Or maybe you've seen me before. How could I help hearing? The world's full of rumors, but it's a long time ago, and I've forgotten what I've heard. Perhaps you heard who killed the merchant? Asked Aksionov. Makar, Makar Semyonov laughed and replied, It must have been him in whose bag the knife was found. If someone else hid the knife there, he's not a thief till he's caught, as the saying goes. How could anyone put a knife into your bag while it was under your head? It would surely have to woke you up. When Aksionov heard these words, he felt sure this was the man who had killed the merchant. He rose and went away. All the night Aksionov lay awake. He felt terribly unhappy, and all sorts of images rose in his mind. There was the image of his wife, as she was when he parted from her to go to the fair. He saw her as if she were present. Her face and her eyes rose before him. He heard her speak and laugh. Then he saw his children, quite little, as they were at the time, one with a little cloak on, another at his mother's breast. And then he remembered himself as he used to be young and merry. He remembered how he sat playing the guitar in the porch of the inn where he was arrested, and how free from care he had been. He saw in his mind the place where he was flogged, the executioner, and the people standing around, the chains, the convicts, all the 26 years of his prison life, and his premature old age. The thought of it all made him so wretched that he was ready to kill himself. Brother, 26 years? Yo, I would have felt that way as soon as my missus walked out the door. And I'm telling you, somebody would have joined me that day. No joke. And that's all. And it's all that villain's doing, thought Aksionov. And his anger was so great against Makar Semyonov that he longed for vengeance, even if he himself should perish for it. I told you, see? Told you. Had it been me first night. First night. He kept repeating prayers all night, but could get no peace. During the day, he did not go near Makar Semyonich, nor even look at him. A fortnight passed in this way. Aksionov could not sleep at night and was so miserable that he did not know what to do. One night, as he was walking about the prison, he noticed some earth that came rolling from under one of the shelves, on which the prisoners slept. He stopped to see what it was. Suddenly, Makar Semyonich crept out from under the shelf and looked up at Aksionov with frightened face. Aksionov tried to pass without looking at him, but Makar seized his hand and told him that he had dug a hole under the wall, getting rid of the earth by putting it in his high boots and emptying it out every day on the road when the prisoners were driven to their work. I ain't gonna lie, that's a good plan. And yeah. Just you keep quiet, old man, and you shall get out too. If you blab, they'll flog the life out of me, but I will kill you first. Number one, if this guy was in this hole digging, yeah, and he's looking up at me, I'm telling you, he's catching the backside of my boot, bro. I'm dropping my heel right on his tonsils. Quick. Aksionov trembled with anger as he looked at his enemy. He drew his hand away, saying, I have no wish to escape, and you have no need to kill me. You killed me long ago. As to telling of you, I may do so or not, as God shall direct. You're a better man than me, Aksionov, because I would have I'm telling you, I'd have made my toes tickle his tonsils quick. Next day, when the convicts were let out to work, the convoy soldiers noticed that one or other of the prisoners emptied some earth out of his boots. The prison was searched and the tunnel found. The governor came and questioned all the prisoners to find out who had dug the hole. They all denied any knowledge of it. Those who knew would not betray Makar Semyonich, knowing he would be flogged almost to death. At last, the governor turned to Aksionov, whom he knew to be a just man, and said, You are a truthful old man. Tell me before God, who dug the hole? Makar Semyonich stood as if he were quite unconcerned, looking at the governor, and not so much as glancing at Aksionov. Aksionov's lips and hands trembled, and for a long time he could not utter a word. He thought, Why should I screen him who ruined my life? Let him pay for what I have suffered. But if I tell, they will probably flog the life out of him, and maybe I suspect him wrongly. And after all, what good would it be to me? Well, old man, repeated the governor, tell me the truth. Who has been digging under the wall? Aksionov glanced at Makar Semyonich and said, I cannot say, your honor. It is not God's will that I should tell. Do what you like to me. I am your hands. However much the governor tried, Aksionov would say no more, and so the matter had to be left. That night when Aksionov was laying on his bed and just beginning to doze, someone came quietly and sat down on his bed. He peered through the darkness and recognized Makar. What more do you want me? Asked Aksionov. Why have you come here? Makar Semyonich was silent. So Aksionov sat up and said, What do you want? Go away, or I will call the guard. Makar Semyonich bent close over Aksionov and whispered, Ivan Dmitrich, forgive me. What for? Asked Aksionov. It was I who killed the merchant and hid the knife among your things. I meant to kill you too, but I heard a noise outside. So I hid the knife in your bag and escaped out the window. Aksionov was silent and did not know what to say. Makar Semyonich slid off the bed shelf, and knelt upon the ground. Ivan Dmitritch, said he, forgive me. For the love of God, forgive me. I will confess that it was I who killed the merchant, and you will be released, and you can go home. It is easy for you to talk, said Aksionov, but I have suffered for you these 26 years. Where could I go to now? My wife is dead, and my children have forgotten me. I have nowhere to go. Makar Semeniak did not rise, but beat his head on the floor. Ivan Dmitritch, forgive me, he cried. When they flogged me with the knot, when, Ivan Dmitritch, forgive me, he cried. When they flogged me with a knot, it was not so hard to bear as it is to see you now. Yet you had pity on me and did not tell. For Christ's sake, forgive me, wretch that I am. And he began to sob. When Aksionov heard him sobbing, he, too, began to weep. God will forgive you, said he. Maybe I am 100 times worse than you. And at these words, his heart grew light, and the longing for home left him. He no longer had any desire to leave the prison, but only hoped for his last hour to come. In spite of what Aksionov had said, Makar Semeniuk confessed his guilt. But when the order for his relief came, Aksionov was already dead. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy. See? 26 years in prison. 26, and you did nothing wrong. I don't know. I'm not, look, I'm telling you, I know I'm not built that strong. No, I'm a fighter to an extent, but that is just wicked. But I mean, yeah. But as you can see, this story, it just goes to show that sometimes justice, it comes too late. But growth, it never does. You know what I mean? And if you look at, and that's the thing about it. If you look at it, Aksionov, he lost everything except his ability to forgive, and that's what set him free, though. Like, if you think about it, like, it's just like he said, you know what I mean? Like, his heart grew light, and the longing for home, it left him, and he no longer had any desire to leave the prison. And honestly, that's where it's like, any man in that position, like, you would have to reach one of the, like, just, I don't know, a place of peace that I don't think I could get to after being thrown in jail and just 26 years of all that, you know what I mean? And you're literally, but again, I think it's bittersweet because even though they let him go, it was almost as if, like, Aksionov, like, passing, he just said, no, I'm good. I'll go on my own terms. So my hat goes off, but yeah. But thank you very much. By all means, please, if this is, please leave any comments, on whatever platform you are, like it, download it, have any fun. And thank you very much for joining me. Honestly, I love reading these stories, especially, like, just, I don't know, it kind of puts me in these countries, but, and these time places. But, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope you love it. I hope you return. But until then, take care.